Yeah.
Too late now.
Yeah, I am. I made sure.
Good afternoon, folks. It's
Stat time.
of
April. I gotta work on that. I know.
I know you got to come up with like a theme song.
Yeah.
But we're gonna have like a thing that plays like an old tape recorder. You know, like we just push the button.
Let's do it.
But guys, I have my mic. I always have to check that. But let's talk about what's going on in the real estate market, and it's going to be an interesting. There's some interesting things.
Yeah.
It's. I like to go off on a few things when we do these. So, well, if everybody knows, we did New Jersey last month. One of the stats that was blaring was that prices went up in New Jersey month over month 6%, and for a total of what 16% for the year.
17. Yeah.
17% for the year in New Jersey, and it's parts of New Jersey have now accelerated even past Staten Island. So the markets are just strange. You know, just so you know, we're going to be looking up and down from TikTok to Facebook Live.
Sorry. It looks like I can't read that comment. Could you read that? Oh, it went away now.
Went away. But anyway,
Sorry.
So I'm going to keep my glasses on so I can see. But the big thing is let's get into some of the interesting developments. Obviously today, the stock market's ripping. Inflation numbers, the core inflation numbers came in slightly better than expected with the hopes of, to say inflation's coming down. Do we believe inflation's coming down? Is it possible that inflation's coming? Is it possible or impossible? And I've talked about this at length for some time because it has a lot to do with house prices and why some people who thought maybe there was much needed relief in the system that maybe prices would come down, I think are going to be sad to learn that the correction that everybody was predicting is not likely to come to fruition. I think there's enough evidence now after watching this. I had some ideas that it may have dropped because in the there was 2 points where the interest rates peaked at 8%, and we did the stats here live, and they actually prices did come down a bit. That's changed a lot. So we've gotten enough of a test to see what these higher interest rates look like, and really where the kind of balancing act is, as far as like the tipping point with the real estate market is once those rates start coming closer to 8, we saw declines. Anything less than 8 right now seems to be, it's not doing too much. And then when they get down to like in the high 6s, which they did, really things accelerated once again. And that's because of the low inventory situation that we see locally, especially New Jersey. It's, you know, it's been absolutely stunningly hot in certain parts of New Jersey, in Monmouth County specifically. Union County is also like Edison, and it's off the wall. I mean, you have to really look at these things and say what's going on. But and Keri's complaining that her chocolate's going to be very expensive next month.
Yes.
So she likes chocolate. And one of the things that also was not in this report is that this is crazy. This is where things really get interesting for the month. This is like, and this is why I have like concerns about where like the total economic picture is going. Cocoa beans up 158%. From last year. That's why I said chocolate. So cocoa, 158%. Orange juice, 70% from last year, up.
Wow.
Butter, 33%. Rubber, 20%. So your tires are going to cost a little bit more. There are things in this report. This is the latest trends in the CPI numbers. And these are commodities prices. So what we're really seeing is coffee. Coffee's normalized, but the real big one was tea.
Yeah.
Tea was up. Tea is up 60% on the month. Tea. Tea prices have gone absolutely bonkers. Yeah, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
But tea prices have gone bonkers, and it's why is that happening? Well, there's a lot of money sloshing in the system, and for you guys, I know it doesn't seem like. So, what's the Fed to do? We're really looking at a time where I think if times continue in this path, it's going to be. I don't see how they're getting out of the inflationary cycle. That's a conversation probably for another day, because I want to get to stats as far as housing is concerned. Even though there's not, it's the report's pretty bland.
Yeah.
It's not like there's anything that's going to jump out at you, except for the fact that inventory continues to decline. Again, prices continue to creep up. Not to the degree that they are in New Jersey, but they are creeping up. They've creeped up over the last month. So we're really seeing, what did I say, rent in, have a free house for you, from you. Rent is expensive. Yes, rent is expensive. There's a reason for that. I'd have a conversation about that separately in a different live about why rent prices continue to accelerate, and a lot of it has to do with I do think that there's some degree of that's going to be a very politically hot topic.
Oh no.
I don't want to get into why rent prices continue to accelerate, but it's becoming an issue for a lot of people. Housing affordability is the number one reason. I think it's on the top list of like priorities for like the next, or the administration coming into the next election. But I don't know how you could fix that, and that's you can't. The market dynamics are not one that you could fix that easily, and the government isn't good at fixing anything. So I'm just telling you now. So I do think that the most likely thing to increase availability of housing and create price stability is probably, and I know people are going to hate this, is probably substantial tax breaks for construction. I think that would probably be the best scenario to handle. Like the tax breaks are likely to be. It's going to be something that's probably going to be talked about, because I do think that new home construction. The problem is that new home construction, although like copper this week is up, is not as cost effective a thing to do because of commodities prices. So like builders are not big into building, because it's like they don't want to flood the market with houses, and they'd rather keep at a sustainable pace and keep prices elevated for their own benefit, which is a supply-demand thing. But if it's tax incentivized, I can guarantee you'll get more houses, and that's likely, and that's what makes this market so much different than 2008. So people want to know the correlation. Building permits from then till now, it's not even locally here. There is no real. There used to be big tract developments going on locally where we are. We're in Staten Island now. Not so much. There really isn't much going on as far as new construction. There is new construction. We call it spot construction, but no big developments.
No.
There was at that time.
Yeah.
So unless they turn the Fresh Kills Park into a big condo development.
Oh no.
What do you think?
No.
So anyway, what do you guys think about that? You guys have any issues with housing prices right now? And we're dealing with both sides. So we got, like I said, upstairs, and downstairs.
Yeah.
Upstairs is Facebook, and then I did see keep it. I don't know.
No, that's
keep
not
it up. Oh, thank you. Somebody said keep it up.
Oh, thank you.
So,
Thank
you. keep subscribing. We're going to do more of these.
Yeah.
So, Keri, you have a bunch of questions, because Keri's going to buy a house next week.
I wish.
We're going to, as a real estate person, we're going to go fit her in a house somewhere. We'll have to maybe we'll have to find a place maybe in like
Where?
deep in the woods of Pennsylvania.
Oh God, I'm not meant for that. No.
You like country music?
Yeah, but I
Move you out to the
can't.
country.
I can't move into the woods.
Keri's what you're going to see a concert soon too, right?
Yeah, this Saturday I'm seeing
Go ahead.
somebody. I'm seeing Morgan Wallen this Saturday.
Morgan
Wallen.
Wallen. I'm
I'm
going to tell you,
excited.
anybody out there know? Is he a young guy? It's not
He's
somebody I know.
fairly. He's young, yes.
It's definitely not Kenny Rogers.
I don't even know who that is. Yeah. You definitely heard
Yes.
his music before.
I probably have. Oh, Pennsylvania, right. The irony of two making fun of Pennsylvania. I'm not making fun of it.
No, my parents actually have a house in Pennsylvania. We go there
Pennsylvania's
a
awesome.
lot. We go there a lot.
No, we're not making fun of Pennsylvania. It's a lot ruler than where we are from. So when we look at Pennsylvania, sorry guys, we'll be diverting our attention back and forth, but Pennsylvania, for us, is like, that's the country.
Yeah.
When you say the Poconos, people say, well, it's not, it's probably a lot different than what I remember.
Oh,
but
it's two different vibes. When I go there from
Keri
here,
gets scared. So
I do.
she's from
I'm like,
Pennsylvania. She's
where are
"It's
the
too
bears?
Quiet. It's too quiet.
It is. It is very
The
quiet there. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so let's get into the numbers and see what exactly is happening locally here in our. Oh, it's getting dark outside. Is going to close my curtains. Okay. Well, you close your curtains. I don't know what that's supposed to be.
I don't know
It's
either.
getting dark outside. Maybe I don't know.
I guess
It's
it
the
kind of
storming.
is, right?
It is getting dark outside here too.
Yeah.
It's the
What time is it? It's
Four.
3.
three. It's 3:37.
3:30. Yeah, I mean about.
Oh, and Bitcoin prices. I don't want to talk about Bitcoin prices, but that's part of the reason. So I'm dead. Okay.
What is it?
Okay. It's getting dark. Well, anyway, guys, I don't know how to respond to that question.
Yeah, I don't know.
But let's get into the numbers, Keri.
Yeah,
We've
let's
been
dive
jumping
into
around here. And that's a lively group on TikTok.
I know, right?
We get thrown off of Facebook again.
I know.
Such a lively group. Anyway, so give us the. Let's get into the data.
Yeah. So, I always start with days on market. The days on market are down about 15% year over year, but up month over month 10%.
Yeah,
What do you-
I think that's so. The month-over-month thing is definitely the interest rates. The interest
Interest
rates
rates?
peaked last month at about in the two previous months. So you're talking about the previous months going into. Yeah, we're not really get to every question, guys. So I
sorry.
apologize. So we kind of were pushing the 8% rate just a couple of months back. And even going into last month, we were pushing close to 8. 10-year treasuries were up. So time on the market stood to gain a little. It took a little bit longer, and I think it's reflected in the numbers. And you'll probably see that over the next quarter, because we've had about a quarter of like over 7.5% interest rates, and that's dampened the market. And that's where it's dampened the market as time on the market, but it hasn't really dampened prices as far as price. When you start going over 8, then we started seeing price drops. But 7.5, when we were in the 7.5% range, we started to see prices kind of they would sputter along without really moving too much. But it would definitely slow down the momentum of the market, which is. I guess that interest rates to a degree work. The problem here is it's an inventory situation. It has nothing.
Yeah.
As much as we want, and that's the problem here. It's people want lower housing prices, but they want a job too. And for this really to kind of correct itself, I hate to say, the inflation thing is you need a pretty serious drop in employment. You need and that's. And for people who just like the economics of things, I think people don't really kind of correlate the two, like to say how price inflation works and what would cause it to drop. And obviously demand would cause it to drop. With demand drops, you're talking about you have to have less people employed. And so it's like finding the balance of getting employment maximalized, keeping prices relatively stable it's a pretty, from a market standpoint, it's pretty difficult. But I don't see, like I said, something has to kind of pivot in terms of new construction, which I think zoning adjustments, things like that would probably have to take place. Which actually, I was big into zoning adjustments back in the day. I sat on a commission that actually did. I wasn't in agreement with a lot of things on that, specifically how new construction. Everybody wanted low density residential, and I was not a fan of completely low density residential without substantial updates to where more specifically spots would be like closer to like public transportation hubs. Should have been upzoned as a corresponding factor to downzones. And the downzone piece of Staten Island, and again, what happens is, whatever lots there are, you only allowed single-family detached housing. Doesn't even provide great solution to inventory problems. So what we have to do is some of that's going to have to, but I heard that's a number one problem about people just don't like. I call it the NIMBYs, the NIMBY crowd, which is not in my backyard. Oh. You would want a condo development in your backyard, right?
No.
So that's
definitely
what I mean.
would not.
That means you're a NIMBY.
I'm a NIMBY. That's okay.
It's okay down a mile or two, but not in my backyard. And this has been the problem with zoning laws to begin with. It's been a problem with subsequent down zoning. People want to keep their way of life, but it creates lack of inventory. Could you read that?
No.
What happens when you describe everything and buyers find something faster or after the contract? What happens when you disclose everything but the buyers find something later? Or you'd have to be more specific about that question. Sorry, we get a question here, and sometimes it takes us off the screen up there. But I think it's closed. Okay, after the contract is closed, what happens when you decide everything, but the buyers find something later? Okay, so what's going to happen? So I'm going to take the question like as a. Sorry, we did get a question here. This is a question.
What was the question?
About disclosing, about something with disclosing about a buyer. I'm going to take the assumption I know exactly what it means, and then see if I'm good with that. Mm-hmm. So, and the buyer, like, they disclosed something to the buyer, and I guess they were in contract and maybe went somewhere else after they disclosed it.
Okay.
And it depends on what the status of that contract is, if there's a earnest money deposit. And obviously, depending on what kind of state laws there are, here in New York, you really don't go into contract until you do a review process. So in New Jersey, it's different, where you go into contract first, and then so you're still locked in to the contract, basically, up front. Disclosing something to the buyer and then the deal falling apart, and I'm assuming the disclosure was something after it closed, which is a little hard to kind of put together. But if you bought something and something wasn't disclosed, there can be issues with, like, if there was a serious problem with the house or something like that. But different states require different disclosure rules. And one of the interesting things in today's market is people who want to bid on houses are dropping what I call, in order to be more appealing to the seller, their offer. It happens a lot in New Jersey. We've had it where are they waiving the inspection contingency? And this is a frequent problem where people are waiving inspection contingencies because they want their offer to be accepted. and they'll deal with whatever the consequence of whatever that house has. Now, after it closed, now you have as a buyer, you have to realize that you take a substantial risk in doing that, especially if there's a structural issue. But does that mean that the fact that it's not disclosed make it, in all fairness, if there was a structural issue, and even though there wasn't something, and you omitted it from a document, and they felt you still omitted it with a purpose to conceal, I don't care if there was an inspection waiver or not. I mean, these things haven't been, there's not many court cases in regards to that. So, but I would just be careful to say that the law isn't so black and white when it comes to non-disclosure, even if the buyer says, well, they're waiving inspection with a degree that you should have known the problem existed prior to selling it. And if you did, I would say you're probably going to be on the hook. You're not going to get away with a non-inspection clause with something seriously wrong with the house and it wasn't disclosed. In every state requires a disclosure statement. And if it's not disclosed there, then and they feel like it should have been, the inspection contingency, you could be liable. So I'd be very careful about not disclosing something that's seriously wrong. And people think, oh, there's no inspection contingency. They're going to take it as is, and as is doesn't necessarily mean, to a certain degree, that if you don't disclose it as is not enough to cover your tuchus. I'm sorry to say, it's not. Mm-hmm. So I would not bank on the fact that the as-is rule means that non-disclosure of something you probably should have known and willingly omitted as part of a required statement. You're going to be on the hook. So I don't think you're going to get away with it. And this is going to be, we may not see these cases come up now, but we may see some of these things with the hot real estate market now. It seems to be an issue. Sellers need to be, and I understand where sellers get a little, and buyers too, you gotta look, if you're gonna do inspection and you really want the house, this is not a market you could nitpick in. If you're gonna do it, don't sit there and go and say, I'm making a bid, and you're gonna bring up minor items, or I've seen, I hate to say this, attorneys come in with stuff. Yes, they're looking out for your best interest, but if your best interest means that the market's going to go up 5% in another week, which is possible in this market, mm-hmm. You're not saving anything. It's just, you got to be cognizant of what you're asking for. If you want an inspection report for the sake of saying there's something structurally wrong, I'd rather just get the absolutes out of the way, and do the inspection. But why sellers are more, and sellers, I get they don't want to haggle with price, but do yourself a favor. You could limit inspections to structural integrity issues, which is fine, but I'm not big into this. I think that most people should allow a buyer to do the proper due diligence on a house, there's going to be some issues that's going to arise later with some of these houses, with these as-is sales, that they think that, well, I don't disclose it, and they bought it, and I said as-is. When you deal with consumer protection laws, which a lot of these things have been placed into the law recently, you better think about what you're doing if you know something's wrong. So that's all I'm going to tell you. All right, on that. So back to the stats.
Yes.
It was important. It was an important question, though, because I think a lot of people are experiencing that.
Mm-hmm. Good.
But we did the current days on the market increased 10%.
Yes.
But that's from interest rates. Quickly.
Yes.
Some of that.
Next is the month's inventory. Mm-hmm. Months inventory is down about 9% year over year, but it is up about 0.60%.
Not even a full, month over month.
Yeah,
That's a
that's not-
seasonal adjusted number. Month over month is not anything. This is really low. There's still, when you do those monthly stats, you did one the other day, I almost fell off the chair.
Yeah, that was
St. George.
St. George, yeah.
Was that 25% less over the last quarter?
25, down 25% pending sales.
Pending sales were down 25%,
Yeah.
and inventory was down 25%. So the markets are squeezed. It really is.
Yeah.
It's I don't know how to put it. What are your options? What are your options on wholesalers? I heard NAR is trying to push for a bill to be passed on wholesale. Oh, this is like corporations. We're really getting into the deep questions now. But thanks for the question. I think I would like to see some bills passed about corporations owning real estate, residential real estate. I think there needs to be something done. I heard there was something recently that wholesaling real estate or bulk purchases of real estate. This is a problem. It's a problem. It's a problem that years ago I talked about this on a live, maybe in 2014, 15. This was the beginning of that whole corporation, but especially during the first crash of real estate, wholesaling really became a big thing back then, where like a lot of foreclosed homes were bought up by corporations and resold, a whole bunch of things like this. I do think that we have to start looking at, we're gonna, I call it, the monopoly effect. I mean, you shouldn't allow monopolies in, it's like, how do you say, would you allow a monopoly on a car or like where the only mode of transportation is all controlled by maybe, I mean, it's still limited, but would you want that to be a problem where you have monopolization of housing? It has to be broken up. And I don't believe that corporations for the sake of, I mean, as either a limited portfolio, no more than an X amount of houses. I don't like the structure of them. It shouldn't be, because there's always ways around the law. So like they'll create 16 corporations and they'll do it that way. There's always loopholes to things, but they could really make this a, I mean, they could literally make it so it can be done where individually, you can't purchase as a corporation. It would only be limited to a personal identifying social security number, and that's the only way you can own a house. And I do think to a degree that I wouldn't put that off the table. I think it's not the worst thing in the world. I don't believe that should happen. I definitely believe, in the wholesaling thing and all these things where corporations are buying up swaths of property for the intent of, there is no other intent. I'm not here to say it's anti-business to do business related matters. Really it is. When you got to look at intent, right? It's an intent to manipulate the market. That's all that really is.
Yeah. Because
if you buy a bunch of houses, it's not like houses are an innovative product, right? So the only way you'd want to buy in bulk is to control the price of it. So when you look at the structure of it, you really want to say, and I'm pro-business all the way, but not like there's innovative models. There's innovative models, and then there's what I call this idea that you could control the market. If you could control the market, almost like how I think media and everything else, it shouldn't be controlled. It needs to be regulated to a point where individuals are not allowed to own. Even individuals, you'd have to cap it. It's a tough, but it's a tough thing to navigate, because I'm not a big interference person with the free market system. But there are times when monopolization becomes a problem. And for the sake of monopolization, and this is one thing about capitalism that I absolutely think it's a great thing, and I still a very big believer in it, but to the degree that they broke up the railroads for the sake of controlling prices. And if you're going to corporatize a swaths of entire cities maybe, you're basically going to turn it into a monopolization effect, which is you pay the price to live here, you make a deal with 5 companies, they have to live there to work, and and there's like you can really control things. I'm not big into this, and there's some structural issues with corporatizing ownership of properties is not something I've had a problem with it for a while. I just think that to a certain degree it needs to be capped at a certain amount, and the free market system is best left to a consumer product. And I'm going to say this: housing is a consumer product. So if you're buying in bulk with the idea, it's like saying to it's like during COVID, someone will buy 6,000 things of toilet paper for the sake of controlling the price. And that's the same, there's nothing different about controlling the inventory of real estate. So if you want to control the price, what are you going to do? You starve people out of it, and then you boost up the price on that. And I don't care what they say, and they're like, that's nonsense stuff. Let's call it for what it is. It's nonsense to believe you could just, there is a point where you have to say enough's enough, and I think, that should be limited. I think a lot of things should be limited, and one of the biggest problems. I know we're going off now because it's a question. One of the biggest problems with everything we're facing right now, as far as price is concerned, is there's too few companies doing too many things, and it's causing a lot of. And we have everything's too concentrated. And then when you have a concentration without competition, this is why the whole many lawsuits a bunch of horse manure. Because it doesn't control prices. How do you control prices? Like by just changing the way the buyer gets compensated is going to change? No, you're going to try. It's not going to work. Yeah. And it's not even the intent. Somebody was behind it. I don't know who, but somebody's behind the whole NAR lawsuit was done with somebody was backing that with some type of lobbying effort. I don't know who. I'm not going to say who. I think I do know, but it wasn't there for the intent of helping consumers. Because if they were really concerned about helping consumers, there's a lot more things out there that were worth pursuing than this. Yeah. It's just not going to help them in any form. I don't know how they figure, but it wasn't meant to do that. It wasn't really meant to help consumers. They may think it was, but I don't believe it was. Anyway, let's go back to supply and demand. Sorry, Keri.
No.
I'm going to do that should be a separate podcast, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, last Friday we did something about the...
Yes, we did that.
And the AR.
Oh, yeah, the lawsuit.
Yes. But, so moving on, the status price ratio is up 0.83% year over year, and also up 21% month over month.
Right.
Now, given the increase in the status price ratio, how competitive do you think the current market is for buyers, and are bidding wars becoming more common recently than several months ago? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, just the nature of the lack of inventory. We're seeing again price, and I think this is the third straight week that interest rates have come down. Again, price wars will begin, and so will multiple bid situations continue to push the envelope. It is just lower and lower inventory. 800 houses on the market for May is not just historically low, it's freakishly low.
Yeah.
The market is basically, it's drying up a bit. I don't know where that, if there's 800 houses on the market now, let's say if things don't improve through the course of the next 3 months, and we really don't break maybe 1,500 sales active on the market. I venture to say that next year will be wildly slow. I mean, as far as just the volume of sales, it just seems to be heading down. The volume of sales just keeps heading down.
Yeah.
It's not and the people that are holding out for better prices. The problem, and you know why there's such low inventories, most people couldn't sell to buy because they couldn't afford to buy the house that they're currently in. That's why there's a low inventory situation. I would say about 70% of people would not be able to purchase their own. I think I read a report. It's like 60 to 70%, depending on the metro area, would not even have the income in their current house to buy their own house back.
Wow.
That says something. So that says why your inventory situation is what it is.
Wow.
So not more what I'll say than that. It's definitely it's a problem for sure.
Yeah, it sounds like it's definitely a problem.
Definitely a problem for you.
Definitely a problem for me.
Yeah, because prices are going to keep going up.
I know. I don't want to think about it.
Okay, good.
So I'm going to move on to the sold medium sale. The sold medium sale is up 6%, about 6% year over year. And it's down 0.75% month over month.
Yeah, the sold median sale is 6% for the year, which is,
Yeah.
I'm going to say this, 2 months ago it was down. So again, a bulk of the appreciation happened more recently when prices, when interest rates kind of dropped in the early part of last year. And then prices did come down locally after rates came up to 8. So I would say that, and I was a believer that we would start seeing some tailwinds in the market once the rates came down. But then I kind of switched gears. When it went to 8%, the headwinds were blowing pretty strong for prices to come down. And it was reflective of the rates. And once those rates dropped again, prices just, the slightest drop, once you go from 8 to 7.5 to maybe 7, it really starts picking up and like people will just, they're coming out to buy. And they're not waiting around. People are saying, you know, but this is such a, they don't want house prices to come down either. It's not good for banks. Banks are already on the fritz. Banks don't. That's why the situation is so delicate. There's so many things in the balance of making inflation work, and that's like to the common person who goes about things. It seems simple, like prices are high, low prices. It's so complicated. I don't want to spend. I can't teach a college level lesson in an hour.
No.
On why that is, but it's delicate. It's a delicate balance.
Yeah, even the sold average sales are up both year over year and month over month too.
Yeah, rates were coming down a bit, but what was the average sale was up what?
Year over year it's up about almost 5%, and month over month it's up 4%.
So this is where we're seeing Monmouth and Ocean County kind of flip New York a little bit, because they're up 17%. So they're really it's starting to catch up. Like as far as the volume of sales is starting to catch up. I mean the price appreciation is starting to catch up, where it's on par with Staten Island now. A lot of places are. Maybe not Brooklyn just yet. But while Staten Island is seeing appreciation, it's really robust in New Jersey. New Jersey is one of the hottest in the country.
Yeah, I saw that actually recently.
Yeah, but I said it months ago.
Yeah, you have been saying it.
It's one of the
I
hottest.
saw it recently,
I mean, when I was doing the data, it was coming in. I'm like, this is like one of the top real estate markets in the country. Places like Old Bridge are like through. It's if you're in Old Bridge, call me. We got plenty of people ready to come down. Plenty. Give us a call. We don't even have to go on the market. Yeah, so Old Bridge is like a hot market.
Yeah, it's nice there. Old Bridge.
It is. No, I like Annandale.
Annandale?
That's where you're from.
The
great state of Annandale.
Yes. Yeah.
So what's next on this?
The next thing is that the sold average listings are up 4% month over month too.
Sold average listing price?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, the sold average is up again, but that's in line with what we were talking about.
Yeah.
So I mean that from that standpoint, I don't think there's much. It's falling in line with everything else.
Mhm. Yeah.
What about transaction volumes? That's where it gets.
Yeah. Yeah. So these sold listings are down 0.78, but up year over year, but up 2.8% month over month. So.
So the volume of sales has eked a slight gain. Mm-hmm. But I do see that when you did the report on St. George, that we're down 25% pending. I think it's going to look like this, like a bell curve.
Yeah.
The amount of sales continue. I mean, I've been doing, just so you know, to give you like a snapshot of how, from a real estate business perspective, what this actually looks like, because I did it. I don't know if someone gave us.
It's not important. I read it. It's on.
Anyway, so they like distracted me with this stupid crap. Anyway,
Yeah.
So like this is really I'm not going to read this stuff anymore because it's like
Nah.
it gets me like I want to slap somebody.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, please. If I was closer to the screen, I would probably like shut it off. But anyway, this is the market is basically seeing volumes that haven't really been. I looked back in 2009 and 2010, and across the United States, there was still more home sales in the worst of the real estate market then.
Really?
There was more home sales in 2009 and 10 than there are now. So you can imagine what that looks like. It's not the, that's a challenge. It's definitely a challenge to be in real estate for sure.
Wow.
So those guys are out there. It's like, this is,
Yeah.
I can tell you the level of frustration because we run over. It's not the easiest thing to deal with. I mean, it's like, you know,
Yeah.
you know, some people are going to have to resort to doing power wash jobs as well as real estate. Maybe you have to get up for cleaning, like clean the house for a fee and then sell it.
Yeah. Imagine.
For a secondary service. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the active listings are also down year over year, about 10%.
Mm-hmm.
New listings are up 15% year over year.
Yeah. Well, that was profound. That's like, new listings are 15%, but overall for the year.
Oh, month over month, they're up 22. About
That's
23%.
seasonal.
Yeah, seasonal.
Seasonal, 1 month over month. I mean, obviously from March to April, people are going to put their houses on the market more frequently. What's the year over year?
Year over year, it is for new listings.
Yeah.
It's 15%.
That's pretty substantial. So a few more people like maybe will have to take the leap. Mm-hmm. That's an interesting. I'm gonna have to look into that a little bit more. I don't know what where we're gonna go with that. There was a jump in new listings. But it still says inventory's down.
Yeah.
And pending is down, right?
Pending's down both year over year and month over month. Correct.
But new listings are up, although inventories, it doesn't, something doesn't, some of the data doesn't seem right. I don't know. But this whole entire, so this is the report overall is kind of like,
It's not
anything like nothing leaps out at you except for the ordinary. It's definitely, if you're a Bitcoin holder, anybody's taking a look. This is one of those things. The next 6 months are going to be a wild ride. Get ready. It's going to be wild. I definitely think that it's going to be an interesting summer. It's going to be an interesting fall for sure. And I wish we had like a pause button. We could stay kind of like here.
A pause.
It's like I'm looking out there, and there's like a storm in the clouds, and like it's like I'm a forecaster. I can't help it. People hate my forecasts. I have a nose for knowing when the bad weather's coming. Everybody says, I said, why don't you pay attention to the sunshine?
Yeah.
But when you lead anything, everything's about forecasting. I hate to say that. It's one of the sad parts of owning a business. If you can't forecast, you're not a good business owner. And you have to forecast, because if you don't learn how to forecast, and unfortunately, some people will say, no, it's there, and you may not see it yet, but it's on the horizon. Yeah. And I've been right too many times to say I told you so. In a lot of instances when it comes to this, and that's because I'm probably sickening to the point of ad nauseum about reading statistics, because to me, if I can't forecast, you have to know what's going to happen, and sometimes maybe.
Yeah, and you're good at that,
Yeah, I don't want to be good at it, because people get annoyed when you give them bad news.
I know.
I want to just paint I'm not good at painting pretty pictures.
Painting pretty pictures.
I'm really not. I'm like because to me, I think, I don't know why that is. I gotta, maybe it's.
No, it's good to be like that, though, to be honest.
I guess you need to be a balance, right? I guess there's a good balance. I have to find that balance, because I gotta really look at it from the standpoint is, because it's like, everything that's happening now, you're going to think it's crazy. I had employees in my old office, and I told them exactly what was going to happen about 7 years ago. And right today, they probably say, Anthony said, everything that is happening now, he said 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I talked about commodities prices and all this stuff was going to go up to the roof. I said they can't get it.
You might be manifesting all of this.
I wish I had that kind of power. If I can control the price of commodities, I'm not so maybe, unless my whole world is manifested, and maybe you're just a figment of my imagination.
Oh, God.
And maybe everybody else. No, I hope that's not the case.
Yeah. No.
There's a movie like that. Inception.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that before. That's a good movie.
You create your aberrations.
Yeah.
It's
that is. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it was a crazy movie.
It was really good.
So you're saying I'm manifesting? They're manifestations, I think they call them, right?
Yeah, manifest.
You actually make the people in your own dream.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's.
Yeah. Can you imagine? What's the writer? He's a great writer too, Christopher Nolan. He's a very deep writer. Mm-hmm. So there's so many layers to everything. Getting off topic, obviously. There's so many layers to every movie he does that it's very hard to watch. at first view to know exactly what he's exactly trying to tell you. And each movie has a specific.
What other movies did he?
He did the Batman trilogy, the one with Christian Bale.
Did he do Butterfly Effect?
I believe so.
Because that one, because that one's like a really deep movie also, I feel like.
And he writes these things, and not to, we're obviously off topic once again, but it's a great movie. Inception is mind blowing. Because it is. It's how his mind. I think he really gave us a cue into his own mind, which is everything's in layers. And if you know how like the dream layers, his stories are layered the same way as that movie's kind of portrayed, which is there's so many deeper levels to the ideas that it's like, I guess to a certain degree you create your own manifestations, right?
Yeah.
We do manifest.
Yeah.
Oh God! Now you see, you said, "Talk about manifest." I didn't manifest that. Please,
No,
I just predicted it. I'm a weather forecaster.
I know. You didn't manifest.
I didn't manifest. I don't manifest bad things.
No.
I just warn people. If they heed the warning, they stay prepared, and they are more happier when the sun does return.
Exactly.
I always say. Than getting washed out with a tide.
Nope.
No. I don't. Let's not go there. All right. So anyway, great talking to you all. Hopefully, there's a question. Nothing stupid, of course. If there's a question, we'll put that in the. We'll put that into our little memo pad, and we'll get to it at another time. But thank you so much, guys, for watching. Right? And
Yes. Well, next week we got Jersey stats.
Jersey stats.
Yes. And
What is Angel? Oh no, the Angel called us something. I can't say that. I forgot.
what? You forgot?
She's a Jersey Shore girl. She really is.
Yeah.
She loves the Jersey Shore. So anyway, I do too.
So do I. Yeah, I love the Jersey.
And if you go to our YouTube page, we got
Tons of Jersey Shore videos.
oh my God, it's like a. But yeah, check out our social media and be part of what we're doing. We have a lot of great things. And we're reaching the almost 1 million view mark across all of our channels.
Yeah.
We're ready. We're edging closer, and hopefully by the end of the month we'll make that official.
Yes.
Maybe. All right, guys. Have a great day. Enjoy your week.
Yes.
And we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Ciao.
Take care.